Good evening, Southeast Texas. I'm Erin Nichols. Thank you for joining us tonight. Up first, despite reported discrepancies on a petition filed for his candidacy, Thomas Segee says he's staying on the ballot. Segee is running for Jefferson County Tax Assessor Collector, but an online political blog is questioning not only his ethics, but also the integrity of the Jefferson County Democratic Party. Angel San Juan has tonight's top story.
How do you do that?
This is video of Thomas Segee when he announced he was running for Jefferson County Tax Assessor. It's his second run for the office, currently being held by Republican Shane Howard. Segee is running as a Democrat, but instead of paying a filing fee, Segee got on the ballot with a petition.
Money was never an issue. I wanted to get the petition signed by voters in this community to determine whether I actually was going to run. If I had not been able to get the number of required signatures, I would have not run for this position.
Segee accomplished the task, collecting nearly 730 signatures, so the Jefferson County Democratic Party placed him on the ballot. However, last week, political blogger Philip Klein reported that the petition Segee turned in was riddled with incomplete or non-compliant information that went against the Texas election code. Segee did not appear fazed by the revelation and instead told us it was too late for this October surprise to disqualify him.
There's a time frame in which you can contest an opponent or a candidate's position on a ballot, whether they're valid or not. And as I understand it, and I'm not hiding behind the fact that that period has already been exhausted, but if you're going to talk about a rules violation for me as a candidate, then the rules are just as effective for an individual who's saying that I'm no longer valid to be on that. Well, if I'm not valid to be on it, then how can you say that when you didn't use the rules as it is written in order to challenge me as a candidate?
And when Fox 4 contacted the Jefferson County Democratic Party about Klein's allegations, Party Secretary Pauline Mouton told us Segee's paperwork was accurate and the petitions Klein acquired were basically working drafts, or as Mouton put it, her cheat sheets. This spurred Klein to file a complaint with the Secretary of State's office. As for Segee, he's washed his hands of responsibility.
I don't have the responsibility of validating the signatures. My responsibility was collecting the signatures, and the party itself has the responsibility of validating that.
However, Texas Election Code 141065 states that the full responsibility for verification lies with the person circulating the petition. But Segee maintains he did nothing wrong and implies he's the person being wronged.
All too often in this country, those that have can dissuade those that don't. The only thing that those that don't have is their voice and a right to vote.
Segee says he's addressing the issue because he felt the allegations defamed him and his political party, but that he's through talking about the issue. However, others are not ready to let it go. Angel San Juan, Fox 4 News.
The Jefferson County Republican Party issued a statement last week demanding answers from the Democratic Party about this controversy. As for the Republican candidate, incumbent tax assessor Shane Howard, he's declined to comment up to this point, saying he's focused on his job duties and his own campaign. We want your thoughts on this story. We asked if a candidate did not follow correct procedures to get on a ballot, should the candidate be removed even though the deadline for removal has passed? 90% of you said yes, while 10% of you said no. And you can still cast your vote by logging on to our website at setxhomepage.com. And for those of you wanting to vote in the presidential election, time is running out for you to register. The deadline is tomorrow, October 9th. There are several ways you can register to vote, but the most common is going to the voter registration office in your county courthouse. Jefferson County will extend its hours from 7 a.m. until 7 p.m. tomorrow. Election day is November 6th. The passenger of a drunk driver died early this morning after the driver crashed their car into a tree. The Calcasieu Parish Sheriff's Office says 23-year-old Devin D. Cormier was driving in the 1500 block of Wright Road in Vinton, Louisiana, when she lost control. Cormier and her passenger, 24-year-old David Kurdupski, were both taken to a local hospital for treatment of their injuries. Kurdupski later died. Cormier was released and is currently in the Calcasieu Correctional Center. She's charged with vehicular homicide, DWI, and careless operation. Both Cormier and Kurdupski lived in Orange County. Cormier in Orange and Kurdupski in Vidor. Troopers in Hardin County have filed charges against a woman they say caused a 5-vehicle crash that involved a Coons ISD school bus. Sandra West has been charged with failure to control speed. The wreck happened Wednesday afternoon. Authorities say West was driving her Dodge truck on State Highway 326 and tried to pass stopped vehicles on the shoulder of the road. The 58-year-old struck 3 of them and slammed into the back of a Coons ISD school bus. 4 school children who were on the bus suffered minor injuries. Medical conditions may have contributed to the crash. The city of Nederland became the latest government entity to join in the effort to lure American Airlines to the Jack Brooks Regional Airport. This afternoon, the City Council ratified the city's Economic Development Corporation's contribution of $75,000. American Airlines has requested a minimum revenue guarantee of $1.5 million before it decides whether to resume service between Jefferson County and Dallas-Fort Worth. Jefferson County Judge Jeff Brannick tells Fox 4 the goal has almost been reached. It's just about $50,000 shy. So far, the only city in Jefferson County that's decided not to contribute is Groves. Today's vote by the Nederland City Council in support of the contribution was unanimous.
Well, if it developed favorite point about it, it would help the city of Nederland, and that's what we're here for. With the EDC saw fit to do so, we're going to, I guess you'd call it a rubber stamp. We're going to go ahead and stamp approval, hoping that it will materialize and it will help Nederland.
If negotiations with American Airlines are successful, the flights at the regional airport would resume in February. Air service at the airport came to an end this past July when United ended its regional service here. Former Penn State assistant football coach Jerry Sandusky is expected to speak Tuesday at a sentencing hearing. That tops our news around the nation. Prosecutors say as many as half a dozen of Sandusky's molestation victims will speak at the hearing. Nobody is expected to speak on Sandusky's behalf, though Sandusky's attorney, Joe Amendola, says some people have sent letters to the judge and that Sandusky will assert his innocence.
What I anticipate he'll say is that he's innocent. He doesn't feel, and of course we've raised this issue many times before the trial, he doesn't feel that we had nearly enough time to properly and adequately prepare his defense. And that's a constitutional issue.
Sandusky was convicted on 45 counts of sexually abusing boys over a span of at least 15 years. The scandal led to the firing of legendary head football coach Joe Paterno and the ouster of the university's longtime president Graham Spainer. Sandusky could face life in prison. Time now for news across the globe. Thousands of Chavez supporters celebrating in the streets outside the presidential palace in Caracas. Victory parties erupting across the country. Newspaper headlines announcing 6 more years. Chavez taking 54% of the vote, the closest race in his nearly 14 years in office. Opponent Enrique Capriles, a former state governor, had galvanized the opposition, posing the toughest challenge yet to Chavez's domination. Chavez pledging to expand socialism and deepen Venezuela's ties with nations unfriendly to the United States. The crisis in Syria continues to worsen as Turkey and Syria exchange cross-border shelling for almost a week straight. Fox News national security correspondent Jennifer Griffin has the latest from the Pentagon.
The president of Turkey painting a dark picture of the current situation in Syria. The Turkish leader commenting on the crisis, urging the international community to do more. A regional pressure cooker that many fear is on the verge of exploding into a full-fledged conflict. Turkish forces firing into Syria again today, the cross-border shelling on its border for a 6th day in a row, as Istanbul insists it will do everything necessary to protect itself.
What needs to be done is being done, and that will continue.
Fighting inside the country continues, with amateur video surfacing released by activists reportedly showing the ongoing shelling of rebel-held areas. The president of the Syrian National Council, the main opposition group, showing signs of possible compromise. The opposition leader says the SNC will meet next week in Qatar to discuss, among other things, the possibility of Vice President Farouk al-Shara serving as interim leader if Assad were to step down. The SNC leader says he would not oppose a role for members of President Bashar Assad's ruling Ba'ath Party in the country's political future, as long as they did not participate in killings during the uprising. Syria also making its way into the U.S. presidential campaign. GOP nominee Mitt Romney saying he would arm the rebels if he won the White House.
It's essential that we develop influence with those forces in Syria that will one day lead a country that sits at the heart of the Middle East.
The White House says the U.S. providing arms to rebels would further militarize Syria and make it even harder to stabilize the country after Assad's downfall, which it insists is inevitable. At the Pentagon, Jennifer Griffin, Fox News.
We are 29 days away from the presidential election, and one major poll says the two candidates are dead even.
Where there had once been despair, Caesar gave workers a reason to hope.
Today, President Obama made history when he announced the creation of a monument to honor the late Cesar Chavez.
America's security and the cause of freedom cannot afford 4 more years like the last 4 years.
Republican challenger Mitt Romney outlines his case against the president's global vision, why he says Obama's foreign policy has failed.